Hey guys, how are you doing today? We're going to do a quick video about Mr. Saleh's press conference today, when again, he gave much more than any Jet coach has ever given us. He just gives a lot of information out. Today, I mean, it wasn't a lot of information. A lot of it today was personal. Personal. I mean, what it's like being a first-year coach, and you just expect coaches not to give you that much information. But anyway, before we get to that, I've gotten a decent amount of emails concerning the movie that was released, the Hail Mary movie. And yes, thank you. I don't think I mentioned my my producing ability, editing ability, starred and narrated by. I mean, you do the whole thing, and yeah, I understand the concern by some of you of whether I'll, be sticking around in YouTube, or will this be opening the door to other possibilities? And I understand the concern. I really, really do. If you want to know the truth, how that was made, let me make this, there we go. When I saw the play and the replay, I just started cracking up laughing. I never saw so many guys like running away from a Hail Mary before in my entire life. And I'm thinking, these guys are all in the bubble, I mean, this is it. You have a ball in the air there. You want a number one. Forget about knocking it down. You want to pick it, right? You want an interception next to your name. So when the coach turns to you, he goes, yeah, we're thinking about, coach, I'm the only guy, being cut maybe that has a pick. Number two, knock it down. Number three, then go through the list. And then you have five guys, except for that number 21 guy, you have five guys just doing nothing. And then the reaction of the players standing around and putting their arms up, and they're all looking at each other, blaming each other, when none of them made an attempt for the ball except for number 21. And the sarcasm I had about Yeboah going 3, 4, maybe 5 feet up in the air. I mean, Yeboah he jumped 5 inches off the ground. He didn't even put his hands in the air. He caught the ball down by his chest. One of the classic Hail Marys I've ever seen in my life. Really unbelievable. If that was a regular season game, heads would have been rolling, but nobody's even made a big deal about it because it was a preseason game. Anyway, I just got such a kick out of it. Okay, getting to Saleh's presser. I will have some information for you probably by today's Monday, Friday. This week, whether or not it's going to be live for the game is questioned. I know the next week and the following week, I've got an invite to go on to a channel to do a program, do live, with the Jet game. And right now, it looks like I'm going to accept that, unless I was honest with them, unless there's a possibility something else may open up. But I'll give you more information about that. But I'll give you more information as the week goes on what we're going to do there. At the press conference, he was asked about Davis, and he said, which Davis? And I'll be honest with you, I blanked out because I forgot about Ashton Davis. Ashton Davis was stretching, and he was asked, is there any chance that he would see action? He said, well, we go through our, routine to get a guy ready, and he wouldn't rule him out. I think it'd be a real, I'd be shocked, but you never know. There's a possibility you may see him. May even see him, on special teams. Michael Carter, running back, was out from practice today, but he said he's fine. He'll be back tomorrow. This is what I love about the guy. He was then asked about the new coaching staff and the new offensive coordinator. Everybody's new, including himself, new head coach. And you just expect And I want to say, looking back on Jet coaches, but you look back on I just never remember an interview where a coach is asked that kind of question and goes into detail on how, there's a lot on the table here. And he was asked, how difficult is it going in with this amount of, forget about how young the team is, like crazy young, with this amount, with a bunch of first timers as coaches, first time offensive coordinator, it's an incredible list. And he said, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And I just realized listening to the guy, I remember one of the videos we talked about it, and he has such humility, it's just for a head coach, and he gets away with it. He gets away with it with the New York media. I mean, the New York media would usually eat up and spit out a guy like that. And he just gets away with the honesty, and he's able to do it. And I mean, humility to me is one of the great personality traits, that people can have, and it's something, it's rare. It's rare. And he has it. He does a great job. Does a great job with the media, He then went back to the coaches. They coach a lot of situational stuff constantly. He mentioned also that in the game itself against the Eagles, he brought up a specific, and he wanted to say timeout and caught himself. He said there was an area, he said, during the game where I realized I could have, and he was going to say timeout, and he said we could have saved some time. He goes, I don't want to go into specifics. And I'm guessing it probably had to do maybe with the first half. I'm just trying to think what else it could have been. It could have been the final drive, to save some time. I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe, it could have been the final drive with the Hail Mary. I don't know. But anyway, he just went into specifics, and he talks about himself. He says they do a ton of situational stuff. When they do their walkthroughs, they'll do situational stuff. Coaches, not the players only, coaches, 2 minutes to go here, a minute 38 to go here. How much time, you start taking knees, not taking knees, down 9, down 8. He just gives you a lot of good stuff. And you got, again, you got to give him a lot of credit for that. Asked about if he was concerned about the defense so far. And then he mentioned Quinnen Williams will be back. Rankins will be back. So, when Lawson went down, I always have in my head Rankins is there too. But, you can start getting Quinnen Williams back, and you get Rankins back, and listen, if we get better pressure than we had last year, right now, that's all I'm looking for. I just don't want to see the identical rush that we had last year. Just an improvement on that, that's all. I mean, I don't want to be bailed out by sending linebackers constantly. So that would be big. He went on to say, they're extremely young, that they'll be fine. And he does admit that there'll be a lot of thinking going on in the beginning, And once they get through that, they'll be okay. Once they just play football. But yeah, for these young kids, there will be a lot of thinking right now because they've been told a lot of stuff, where to be, situational stuff. Talked about Kavanaugh and him stepping in, as quarterback coach. Talked about how he could be a great help to Michael Floor, and of course to Zach. Talked about the worst part of the season. He said this is the worst part of the season. It's the part that. When he first came aboard, he said he fast forwarded to this day and the next couple of weeks, the next couple of days, all the time, with all the cuts that are going to happen. Because, he made a really good point. He said, for some guys, they're going to be moving on from here to another place. He goes, for other guys, this is it. Their football career. When I tell them what decision we've made for not a lot of these guys, but a decent amount of guys, their career's over. It's done. And you think about it, you think about some of these guys that are undrafted free agents and when you're an undrafted free agent, you're picked up by a team. The chances of being picked up by another team when all these teams have the same amount of draft picks that we have, it gets more difficult. And for a lot of guys, this is it. Football's over. You've been playing since 7, 8 years old, and you progressed and you get through college and you're finally drafted or you're not drafted. And then finally you're not drafted and your world's collapsing for the first time. There's nowhere to go. And you get that call. You get the call from the Jets. You get the call from you get a call from somebody say, hey, listen, we're going to invite you anyway. And you go there and you just think optimistically you'll fit in and you'll get a spot. And you don't. And for a lot of these guys, it's over. So that was a really good point also. Then we had to go through your typical Zach question. How is he? Do you think he's ready? Cliche, cliche, cliche. Speed to the game will be fast in the beginning. Once he's got to learn to execute. Same nonsense. Then he was asked a question about guys because there's going to be a situation, and I mentioned that in the video I made about the Jets signing Shaq Lawson. That I do think there's another lineman, defensive end lineman, maybe a linebacker that has the ability to get to the quarterback. But I think Lawson was signed that just in case when these cuts are made, that they have somebody that has some kind of resume of getting to the quarterback, something on their resume. They know they're not going to probably get they're going to get a 10, 14 sack guy, but they're going to, so they went Lawson. And like I said in the video, I do believe there's somebody else. And I said in the other video, I do believe there's a very good possibility they're going to get somebody because I still think that while teams were able to finagle around the cap, because if you remember last 5-6 months ago, I mean, how many people did you hear talking online just saying, this team's never going to be able to field a team. This team is $60 million over the cap because the NFL lowered the cap number. And yet all these teams that was the Jets and maybe a half a dozen, 10 teams that had cap room. The rest were over the cap, and some were like ridiculously over the cap. And here we are. They made it. They somehow snuck it in. They did people's contracts over without many cuts. But at some point, you got to pay the piper. And I think, and because we're in such a great position with guys that are cut, we're second in line for anybody that's cut. I do think there will be a guy that we pick up that might even have a much better resume than Lawson. And I think that's what they're thinking. But Lawson, they threw a sixth rounder up against the wall, and if it sticks, fine. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's where we are. Anyway, I think that's going to be it. If there are any questions or comments, you can leave comments. The emails, thank you very much. That's super kind. But you can leave comments. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. No. Figure around. I'll have more videos before then. But on Friday, I'll give you the schedule for the weekend, and then we'll go from there. And then next weekend, things get a little crazy, and I'll talk about that a lot more too. Please subscribe. Please like. And that's it. And thank you so much for the compliments about the movie. I know. Touched a lot of people's hearts. Imagine making it. Imagine making that movie and then trying to go on with your day. Yeah. Okay. Have a good one.